Greetings, B-movie aficionados.
Hello and welcome to A Couple of Flicks. I am Tristan.
I am Nick.
And I'm Zach.
And today we are discussing our top 5 favorite 80s films. And for this list, we're specifically choosing non-horror. Just because when it comes to horror, like that's a whole other list. I mean, yeah. So, but yeah. So, do you want to start, Zach?
Sure.
Okay, cool.
My number 5 is Spaceballs.
Mel Brooks.
Classic Star Wars parody. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that movie. I haven't seen it for a long time though. I'm not really into spoof movies, but I like Mel Brooks's spoof films. I think if anybody was actually good at making them, it was him. And yes, Spaceballs, yeah, definitely is an example of one that's actually better than average, in my opinion. You know?
Yeah. And I really wish they did the rumored sequel that was rumored a while ago, but he's in his 90s, so I don't think it's ever going to happen.
Yeah, probably. Also, Rick Moranis doesn't act anymore.
You hear though?
Yeah.
He's coming back.
Oh, he does? Or he is?
For a new
Apparently.
I Shrunk the Kids. They just, like, a couple of days ago, he just is in rumors to make a return. They're going to make it, I guess it's called Shrunk.
Shrunk.
Yeah, they're making a reboot of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids with him.
Oh, goodness.
As a series, wasn't it?
I didn't read that.
There was a Honey, I
I'm
Shrunk the
not sure,
Kids
maybe,
series at one point. I know that.
Yeah.
Didn't have him on it, but I know that series did exist though at one point, even though most people don't seem to remember it. I do know for a fact that there was a Honey, I Shrunk the Kids TV series.
Yeah, a lot of people are pissed he didn't come back for Ghostbusters, but he's coming back for that.
Well, it's not like he's one of the main characters in Ghostbusters anyway. So.
Yeah.
I don't know. People get weird when it comes to 80s stuff. It's like it has to be like everything they want it to be, or it just is useless. It seems like.
Yeah.
Do you want to go next, or do you want me to?
I guess I can go next. It's probably a pretty common one you guys might have. My number 5 is Scarface.
Okay.
Yeah. And I just put that up there because I don't like, it's not like my most favorite of all, and I think it's overhyped by everyone. But it's good. It's a little long, but fun.
Yeah.
I mean,
I actually find that movie kind of terrifying. Like, you know, it's interesting because like the first half of it is sort of about him like becoming something, you know, despite sort of the odds being stacked against him. And then the second half is kind of just about him getting all swept up in the decadence of it. And I don't know, it's scary it's scary to watch that process for me. Al Pacino did a great job in it though.
Yeah.
Remember the first time I watched it as a little kid? It was like before I started getting into horror. The chainsaw scene, I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That was wild. Yeah.
But it's pretty tame now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I think for the time though, like a lot of people who saw that movie probably hadn't seen anything like that before, so you know. And it is kind of an effective scene because it does sort of fool you into thinking that you're seeing more than you actually are. Like it's actually a relatively tasteful scene despite the way the guy's getting killed and despite like all the blood and everything. Like the way it's shot and everything, yeah. My number 5 is Do the Right Thing, the Spike Lee movie. I'm not really sure why. I've watched that movie several times. Probably the number one movie I've gotten into more arguments with people about. But I just think it's an extraordinary film. It's pretty much just it's a film that's exploring race relations, but I also think that it's actually an entertaining movie. First of all, which is the first thing I really love about it. Visually, they're like the fact that it takes place on a heat wave. I just find that concept to be really interesting, and it does kind of show you how like this heat, combined with the way it looks visually, just how saturated and heavy and orange, like you can really feel the heat, and you can see how like everybody is just a lot more aggressive and less patient in general. And so I think that has so the movie has like an interesting quality, just how all the characters are just so angry all the time, and then like the way it kind of unfolds and sort of what its core message is, and how it's a film that's exploring race relationships, but at the same time it's also kind of showing how stupid violence is just in general. I just find that to be a really captivating film, and yeah, I love that movie. So that's my number 5.
One I haven't seen.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either.
Yeah, it's great.
Did Criterion release that one?
I'm not sure. They might have. They recently announced that they are going to release Bamboozled.
Really?
Yeah. Have you ever seen that one?
No.
Pretty messed up.
Huh.
I'm kind of curious to rewatch it though. Now that I know that they're going to release it though, it kind of makes me want to go back and reevaluate it, because like I love that movie, but it's extremely heavy-handed and yeah, very sharp kind of satire, I guess, and it knows it is too. I mean, it constantly reminds the viewer that it is. But Spike Lee's a good filmmaker, though.
Well, we're on Criterion. They just announced eventually they're going to put Parasite and Memories of Murder.
Oh, excellent.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's good, yeah.
Hell yeah.
I do hope that more people see Memories of Murder.
Yeah,
definitely. And now people don't really have as much of an excuse to not see it, because Parasite, won Best Picture. So now, now Joon-ho Bong is considered respectable, I guess, in this country.
Yeah. That was awesome.
Yeah, that made me happy.
I was so happy.
Yeah, I didn't expect that.
Nope.
All right. It's mine, right?
Yeah.
So my number 4 is Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Nice.
Yeah, excellent. It's a great film, It's just such a classic sort of piece of 80s like offbeat humor. And just I love the idea of going back in time and meeting famous people.
Yeah. And can't wait to see what they do with the third one. Should be interesting.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, well, now that there's a big Keanu-sance going on,
right?
Yeah, that's gonna be, and they're also making a new Matrix movie too,
right?
Which I'm very curious about.
It doesn't suck.
Fingers crossed. The Matrix series. Yeah, I have mixed feelings about that. I won't elaborate, but go on. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, are the Wachowskis doing it?
I think just one of them is, right?
Yeah, I think Lana is the one who's going to be directing it. But anyway, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
I'm definitely curious, though. That series, I've kind of gone back occasionally and sort of tried to reevaluate. And there are things I kind of have started to appreciate about the sequels, I must say. I haven't really been able to bring myself to really love them yet, but there are things about them I respect and admire, I gotta say. I'll see how I feel about it in another 10 years, I guess. But yeah.
Huh. Yeah. Let's see. I'll do my number 4 as Akira.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Because I just saw that scrolling through a list and I was like, oh shit, I loved Akira.
Yeah.
And I figured you guys wouldn't put that on there, so.
I love Akira as well. I haven't watched that one for a long time.
Yeah.
But
Never. I have yet to see it.
oh man. The main thing I remember about it is the soundtrack. the chanting. I
Mm,
love that. It
yeah.
always creeps me out, you know. And then like toward the end, it gets so abstract.
Yeah, it's
And
wild.
yeah, like that film goes off the deep end.
Yep.
But visually, it's so incredible. Like I don't even really care that the plot like doesn't really make sense. I mean, it makes sense if you think about it, but it really doesn't make sense when you're watching it.
Yeah,
know,
it's
just-
like your typical Japanese like anime plot that kind of goes out off the rails,
Yeah.
like most animes do.
Yeah. I mean, that is a genuinely insane film.
Yeah.
You know, but one thing I really respected about it was how it sort of how it kind of championed like because it takes place sort of in post World War III, I think it was, or post like bombing of Tokyo, and so and so like all the characters are pretty impoverished, and there's like a lot of gangs and graffiti and just trash everywhere and stuff, and the film like it kind of champions that, like it champions poverty basically. It sort of glorifies it and makes it look really stylish, you know, even though like it's all these people who are covered in bruises and tattoos and are beaten up and just look gnarly, you know. There's a lot of like gang warfare and stuff, but yeah, just visually that's an incredible movie.
Yeah. It's super fun.
Yeah. My number 4 is also an anime. It's not Akira, but it's My Neighbor Totoro, or My Neighbor Totoro, however it's pronounced, which just out of all of the films in Studio Ghibli, that's my favorite. I don't know.
Seen that one.
It's such a simple story. It's just about a couple girls kind of going on this sort of odd adventure, I guess, occasionally with this creature that's sort of is sort of hanging around at the residence that they're living at with their dad. But while that's happening, these girls are also kind of like learning a lot of things and kind of having these various sort of childlike experiences, and it's a very pure kind of movie. It's very simple, but the animation is just incredible looking. And I just feel like a lot of people could relate to that movie, you know. Like I know that I did. You know, there were a lot of moments, mostly just a lot of the quiet moments that I found really charming. So that's my number 4.
I haven't seen that one either.
It's been on the list. I've always wanted to see that one.
It's
I
definitely.
thought it was more recent than the 80s too.
Yeah, believe it or not, it was late 80s. It didn't really. I don't think it got released here until like a few years later.
Yeah,
But-
probably.
You know, so maybe it doesn't count, but I don't know. When I think of like, you know, my favorite animated films though, because I can think of like dozens of animated films that I love. And that one like definitely is probably one of my favorite animated films of the 80s, I'd say. So, and yeah, in my top 5 for sure. So
My number 3 is E.T. I know my list's pretty cookie cutter, but
Classic.
E.T. I mean, the 80s. E.T. is the 80s basically. Like
yeah.
when you think 80s movie, E.T. is one that immediately comes to mind. And yeah, we've talked about it before, but it's a classic film though, totally. But yeah, when Spielberg re-released it in the early 2000s, and you remember that when like
Yeah,
they
replace the
digitally
guns
replaced
with walkie-talkies.
yeah,
So
which
dumb.
was so stupid. And then the mom who's like, "You're not going as a terrorist." They changed it to what hippie, I think. Like they like redubbed that line because it was after 9/11, and you know people were like, "Oh no, that might be too sensitive to have her say terrorist," you know. But
Mhm. Yeah. My number 3. I'll do Full Metal Jacket. Nice Kubrick film song.
Full Metal Jacket is an incredible movie.
Yeah. And from what I've heard, a lot of people don't even bother watching the second half of it, like after the basic training.
Wow.
Just because I don't know why. Like a bunch of my friends, at least, just because they thought, the whole whatever that guy's name is,
Private Pile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Making fun of him, and that whole thing was more comical than intense. But I liked when they got to Vietnam and all that, because I like Vietnam movies, war movies.
Yeah.
It's just a great Kubrick film. So I mean,
it surprises me that people tune it out after the first half, like because. And I actually find the first half to be really rather tragic. I don't really find it very comical at all. I mean, I guess some of the things that the drill sergeant says are pretty funny, like some of the jokes he makes.
They just watch the drill sergeant bits over and over.
Yeah, but it's hard for me to kind of, maybe this sort of brings me back to, because I know I've talked about Whiplash before and kind of how that movie sort of, I think what ultimately sort of bothered me about that movie is how like it was a teacher being really verbally and physically abusive with a student, which I can't stand seeing that kind of thing. I don't know, something about that really bothers me. And the scenes in Full Metal Jacket kind of bothered me for a similar reason. I just feel like it's a person who's in a position of authority totally abusing his authority over these people. But I like the fact that it shows sort of the reality of that, and it shows that people like do crack from that, which results in what happens taking place. But I actually thought the second half of that movie was really awesome. Probably one of the most beautiful looking war movies, period. Like wouldn't you say? Just like the way at the end when everything's just on fire, that just all of that looks so gorgeous. And you feel like you're there too. Like the way it's shot, you actually get a really good sense of location and perspective, Yeah,
definitely.
It doesn't feel like a confusing, anonymous sort of war zone. Like it actually feels like a real location. So the realism of that whole sequence, even though like I do think that the film was kind of trying to pinpoint like specific themes, and it was overall, I mean, it's a Kubrick film, so there's always some kind of agenda behind it. But I think visually though, I've never seen a war film look that good in the second half.
Yeah, I loved that. I don't know where it's been a while since I've seen it, but like they were at that. They were like pinned down, trying to move forward. And doing all that shit. That was really well done, I thought.
Yeah.
And just really intense. Like, cause my friend was the one that showed me in high school, and he just showed me the bits of the basic training stuff. The drill sergeant giving him shit, and he was just this is funny, ha ha ha. And then he turned it off afterwards. The rest of it sucks. And I was like, wait, what? I want to see the rest. This is like I was actually drawn in by this. Why would you turn it off? I want to see the actual movie. So I eventually watched it on my own after he left.
Yeah. I love that movie. And actually, a controversial opinion. Maybe I actually think that that's a better Vietnam War movie than Apocalypse Now.
I can see that. I haven't seen Apocalypse Now yet. It's right over on my desk, waiting for me to see it. But I just haven't, because I got the director's cut, so it's like 3 hours long or something.
Yeah.
So I'm just waiting for some time to watch it. But...
Yeah. Do you have any thoughts on Full Metal Jacket?
It's been a while since I've seen it, but it's really good. Yeah. It's probably maybe my second favorite Kubrick movie.
Yeah. I think that might be that might be my brother's favorite Kubrick film. I don't know. I know a lot of people whose favorite is that one.
Yeah, it might be mine. Yeah. Or so this is semi-second. Definitely not my favorite. But...
Yeah, I'm still pretty partial to Barry Lyndon, I gotta say, as far as Kubrick films go. But
I haven't seen that one.
Oh, it's great.
I haven't seen that one either.
It's so gorgeous. The cameras that they shot it with, I guess, from what I understand, the cameras were like the lens, I think it was designed for NASA, and it's a good one. My number 3 pick is also a war movie, actually. It's Ron, which is a Japanese film. And a very tragic one, I might add. Probably the best film adaptation of a Shakespeare story I've seen, which is King Lear, is what it's an adaptation of. Also, definitely one of the saddest movies I've ever seen, too. But I love everything about that movie. Just from the visuals, the way the battle scenes are shot, just everything about it. I just adore that movie. So.
Haven't seen that one.
I haven't even heard of it.
Oh, it's so good. So good.
All right, so my number 2 is a tie.
Ooh.
Another typical 80s movies.
Yeah.
Ghostbusters
1 and 2.
Oh, nice.
I had Ghostbusters as an honorable mention.
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna put it up, but because I wanted to, but had other movies.
Yeah.
I figured one of you guys would say it, so.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the Ghostbusters. I mean, I like the first one more than the second one, but my siblings had seen the second one more times than they had seen the first one, so they actually prefer the second one. And I know some other people that prefer the second one as well. But I personally prefer the first one. So.
Yeah.
Probably would say the first one.
Yeah, I prefer the first one too.
Yeah.
But I don't hate it. Like a lot of people hate the second one for some reason, but I thought it was fine.
Yeah, I didn't think the second one was that bad either, actually. And a lot of people hate the sequel to Bill and Ted as well, which, for the record, I actually think is just as good as the first one, personally. But
yeah, I enjoy the second one.
Yeah. As far as sequels go, I mean, whenever you make a sequel, it's never going to really live up to the first one. So you either do something different with it, or you just throw in everything but the kitchen sink, which is kind of the approach that they took with Gremlins 2. Is just make a totally apeshit movie rather than make like a actual sequel. Yeah.
Have you seen the Key and Peele bit about that?
Oh no, I haven't actually.
It's pretty funny. Check it out if you get the chance.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, we'll do. I had no idea there even was a Key and Peele. I mean, I don't know how I would know, but
yeah.
But
I heard it's crazy. Yeah. I don't think I've seen the second one.
Oh yeah, the second Gremlins. I actually like the second Gremlins movie quite a bit. I've
heard a lot about it.
Yeah. Like I love the first one.
Yeah, I do too.
But the second one, I don't know if I love it as much as the first one, but in a way I do, but for totally different reasons than the first one. Like it's actually kind of a different kind of movie. It's really more of a comedy. And the first one was a comedy at times, but it was also like really serious, whereas the sequel kind of mainly sticks to being a comedy. Actually, the sequel kind of reminds me of Die Hard a little bit, which I know is like a weird comparison, but
yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. But as for Ghostbusters, yeah, no, those are great, and yeah, good cast. It's a shame they couldn't really pull it together to make a third one with all the cast members. Unfortunately, it's too late now since one of them has passed away. But oh well.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yeah, definitely.
Is it my go?
Yes.
Okay. For number 2, I'm gonna go with Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Nice.
That's a good one.
Yep, I love that movie.
Yeah.
It's just hilarious.
Yeah.
Really well written and just well done.
Yeah. Matthew Broderick doesn't get enough credit as an actor. Yeah. And John Hughes, the director, I mean, he kind of created a whole new language.
Yeah, I like a lot of his movies too.
Yeah.
I have Breakfast Club as an honorable mention.
Yeah.
But because I like that one a lot as well.
Yeah, that's a great film.
And I did like Weird Science.
Oh yeah, Weird Science.
That one was funny.
I like the guy on the motorcycle, who was like, I hope this doesn't affect my teaching gig or whatever he says. Like,
yeah, when I first saw it, I was surprised at how dirty it was.
Yeah, It is a pretty filthy
Wow.
movie, honestly. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I haven't watched it for a while, but I've always enjoyed that one. So I've seen it probably like I don't even know how many times.
No, I've seen it a bunch.
Yeah.
It's always a good one to rewatch.
Yeah, definitely. When was the last time you watched it?
Long time ago. Probably when it first got released on Blu-ray.
Ah, yeah, nice. My number 2 film is a movie I've been singing the praises about for over a decade now. It's a very strange movie called The Cook, the Thief, His Wife, and Her Lover, which is a film directed by Peter Greenaway, who I think if I were to describe his movies, I'd say they're sort of along the lines of like how Wes Anderson is really good at like framing shots and having like shots that have like a lot of detail in them and a lot of just sort of things going on. He's kind of like that, except he's a lot darker and a lot more offbeat. And he's an English filmmaker as well. And I consider The Cook, the Thief, His Wife, and Her Lover to be a total masterpiece. I consider it to be his masterpiece. It's kind of an erotic crime thriller / dark comedy. Definitely won't appeal to everybody's tastes. There's a lot of scatological humor in it. I just adore that movie. I think it functions perfectly well as its own sort of film, but then I also think it functions really well also as a political metaphor. Like, and I try not to be a political person. You know, I think everybody's crazy personally. But I really appreciated the way this film sort of, and it very heavy-handed, and without any kind of subtlety, ends up being sort of this metaphorical revenge story. The acting is great. Helen Mirren is amazing. Michael Gambon, who went on to be in the Harry Potter films, he's always
Dumbledore.
great. Yeah. And this is his best role. He plays this sort of oafish, I guess, kind of kingpin who has, through rather sketchy circumstances, managed to be in charge of this entire, or at least own this entire French restaurant. And he's, pretty horrible to his wife. He treats her like garbage. And so she ends up cheating on him with one of the restaurant patrons, who's this gentleman who's really into reading. And I don't want to spoil too much of it, but it's definitely very poetic. One of the only films I can think of that's totally perfect. And I just adore it. So that's my number 2 pick.
Still haven't seen that. I know you've been recommending it to me since high school. But
Yeah. It's a hard movie to find.
Yeah.
Enough. Like,
Never even heard of it. Yeah.
yeah, it's not easy to find on physical media. I'm hoping one day it'll get some kind of reappraisal. But I don't know. I guess we'll see. But yeah, I just wanted to throw that title out there again.
nice.
Yeah.
So my number 1 is Back to the Future 2.
Ooh.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah.
Great.
I just remember that was one of the first futuristic sci-fi movies I saw when I was a kid. It always intrigued me, the way they perceived the future.
Yeah. It was cool. And I feel like it was sort of following in the footsteps of the Jetsons, except while the Jetsons sort of kind of made it all comical and not really all that because honestly, in my opinion, the Jetsons were never as interesting as the Flintstones as far as cartoons go. And I feel like the Jetsons kind of used the futuristic world as nothing really more than like an excuse to use like a lot of visual sight gags and stuff for the most part. I just didn't feel like that show was very well done as far as characters go. But this film actually does sort of take that idea seriously, which in my opinion actually makes it funnier. Like I know you haven't seen them, but they are worth watching.
I want to.
Yeah.
I just never get around to it.
Yeah. I mean, they were definitely 80s, but
Oh yeah.
I know I like them. I just haven't gotten around to them.
yeah.
So lazy.
That's all right. No worries. We all have long lives, so.
Yeah.
So, what's
My
your
number one?
Yeah.
Okay, my number one. I mean, I put Police Story as my number one, just because I mean I'm a huge Jackie Chan fan. So like I would have honestly like all top 5. I could have put just all Jackie Chan movies, but I
Yeah.
didn't just to make some variety.
Yeah.
But I like and anything Jackie Chan does, I love really. He's like a big influence on my movie watching when I was growing up and
Yeah.
all that shit. So I mean, I put just Police Story, even though there's a few other ones. Like I was gonna do Drunken Master, but that was in '78,
Oh,
and
yeah.
Drunken Master 2, which I think was better, was '91
Mm.
or '94 actually.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, just the other honorable mentions would be like Project A, you know, Heart of the Dragon, Battle
Yeah.
Creek Brawl, Cannonball Run. All those are just great Jackie Chan flicks of the '80s.
Yeah.
And then he just keeps going on an awesome run in the '90s.
No, I'm glad you chose Police Story because that might be my favorite Jackie Chan movie.
Yeah, it's definitely one of his best for sure.
Yeah. I'd have to think about it more. I really, really love Rumble in the Bronx as well.
Yep, that's a great
Although
one.
it's been a long time since I've seen that one, so I don't know how I'd feel about it these days. But
And I like Who Am I?
Oh, yeah.
But that's not an 80s one, but yeah.
it's cool. Armor of God, it's worth watching.
Yep.
Need to rewatch all these. It's been so long since I've seen them.
Yeah, he's the man.
Yeah.
He
No,
blows my mind with all the shit he does.
totally
I'm just
agree.
like, what the fuck, this guy? How is this guy even human?
Yeah.
Him just jumping around, flipping.
There's nothing like seeing a good Jackie Chan
Nothing.
movie.
I
Like,
love it. I love
yeah.
them. They're so good.
yeah. And they're consistent too.
Yeah. Even like the movies, plot wise, don't have to matter at all, really, honestly.
Yeah.
Because they're almost all the same.
Yeah.
But
Pretty much just an excuse for just amazing comic set pieces
Yeah.
and action scenes. Like,
yep.
it's incredible. Have you seen any of the sequels to Police Story?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think of those? Like,
They're good. I mean, like they like again, they mostly all blend together.
right.
But
yeah.
like, yeah.
That one that was, I think it was New Police Story, where he's not in it that much. He has like a cameo role. That movie's kind of more about like Michelle Yeoh's character. But
It was in like the 2000s, was it? Or
it
was
might
that-
have been. But that one's kind of a weird one.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that's as good as the others, but I still like Michelle Yeoh though as an actress or actor and what she did in that. Like I feel like she had a lot of like potential in the martial arts genre. Like, but anyway, yeah, no, but Police Story is great.
Have you guys seen the trailer for Jackie Chan's new movie?
Oh, what's it called?
I don't remember what it's called, but it also has Arnold in it.
Oh,
Oh, really?
And it's a period piece. He's like a conquistador or something.
Huh.
Or Arnold is, I should say.
Fuck.
It looks really weird.
that sounds.
Watch
really
the trailer.
weird. I definitely will.
I heard he's coming out with a new one.
Yeah.
I think he's trying to come back.
Yeah. Well, I liked the one he did in the, is it the Forbidden Kingdom or whatever it's called?
With Jet
like-
Li.
Yeah.
I liked that one because
I
I like Drunken Brawler, and he was a drunken brawler in that.
Yeah. I like that one, even though it had kind of the most generic plot ever.
Yeah, it was pretty cheesy and lame,
Yeah.
but
You
it was
know,
entertaining.
when you think about it, it had the same plot as the video game Shaq Fu. Like,
Yeah.
somebody gets transported to a magical kingdom
Yep,
where they have to
that's-
fight people.
Very, very video game plot.
Yeah. And the way the film was structured was like a video game too. It's like, oh, one battle, next battle, next battle, like,
Yep.
but I still liked it.
Yeah, it was a fun one.
Yeah. My number one choice is Stand By Me, which I think pretty much everybody's seen at this point. And I can admit it's not a perfect movie. I'm not really a fan of the narration. But to me, like, that's the perfect 80s movie. It's got Will Wheaton. It's got River Phoenix. You know, Corey Feldman is in it. And Jerry O'Connell, who went on to be very, very different from the character he plays. Kiefer Sutherland shows up with his weird, you know, bleach blonde hair, you know, looking skanky. And John Cusack's in it too, in the flashbacks, which, you know, the flashbacks probably aren't really necessary to the plot, but I still appreciate the fact that they're in the film, just because, like, I'm not going to complain about having an excuse to see John Cusack act in an 80s movie, you know? And yeah, I just love that movie to death, you know? And it's one I've seen probably more times than I can count. So
Another one I haven't seen in a long time.
I don't even think I've seen it.
Oh God, it's aged really well, actually. It's as good as coming of age stories get. Ultimately, it's just.
I've definitely heard of it. I haven't seen it though. Yeah.
Yeah. For me, it's just the perfect formula of everything I love when it comes to film and.
It's a Stephen King movie.
Yeah, it's based on a Stephen King short story, The Body, and in a way, that's kind of a more appropriate title for the film, just because I kind of feel like the message of the film overall is that, like, that's all we really are at our core. We're just nothing but bodies, you know. But I do understand why they chose the title Stand By Me, though, because it, like, the theme of the film involves, like, the love that exists within this friendship, and what that ultimately means, and how these four boys basically just grow as people through this really rather intense experience. I mean, it's basically just about a bunch of kids that go to find a dead body. That's pretty much the entire plot, you know. And then they kind of are faced with the reality of it, and yeah, it just works really well. And Rob Reiner, the director, like, he used to make the best movies, you know, because he also did The Princess Bride, and This Is Spinal Tap, and Misery, and all these classics. Yeah, and then somewhere along the line, he just got lost and started making really not interesting movies for some reason. Like, he did that Bucket List movie, and he did, like, some other stuff. I don't know. But 80s Rob Reiner as a filmmaker was top notch. So that's my favorite 80s movie. So do either of you have any honorable mentions that you'd like to say?
The best episode of Buffy was The Body.
Ah.
Had to do with the body. Like, I can't even watch that episode almost. It's just intense.
Yeah.
Have you seen Buffy at all?
Yeah. I love that show.
Do you remember The Body?
I think I do. I think if it's the episode I'm thinking of.
It's incredibly fucking intense.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think if it's the one I'm thinking of, like, Buffy, that whole Buffy show kind of took me on a bit of a emotional roller coaster. So there were some seasons that were pretty sad.
Mm-hmm. I love Buffy.
Yeah. Angel, I thought, was pretty good too, actually.
Yeah, Angel's great as well.
Yeah. Anyway, do you have? Do you have any more honorable mentions or anything?
Well, Breakfast Club, like I said.
Yeah. I
had Time Bandits.
Time Bandits is a great film. Terry Gilliam, yeah. I also love Brazil, which is an insane movie.
Apparently, they're gonna do a series of with Taika Waititi.
Okay.
Apparently, that's the rumor that I've read.
I don't think I can picture that yet. I got to think about that one. That's a little weird. Well, the only choice I had for a honorable mention was The Karate Kid. Yeah. which I love. I watched that one a lot as a kid as well. Ralph Macchio was a big fan of his back then. And yeah, that was just a beautiful film. I actually like it more than Rocky, actually. And it's kind of just a similar concept, The sequels to The Karate Kid aren't really that great, but I mean, I like the second one, because that one they kind of raise the stakes, and he goes to Okinawa, which is kind of interesting. But then the Karate Kid 3, hated. The next Karate Kid I actually didn't hate, even though, like, I can admit it's a bad movie. I still like it though because I read the novelization of it, like, before I saw the movie, and I don't know. I guess that made me like it more for some reason.
That's the Jackie Chan one? Or?
No, that's it's the one with Hilary Swank that came out in the mid-90s.
Oh.
But then the remake with Jackie Chan, which was called The Karate Kid, even though it's very misleading title in my opinion, since they're not doing karate.
I made it 10 minutes through that movie and I turned it off.
Yeah, I was not a fan of it either.
The thing that bummed me out about it was that, like, they're doing kung fu in the ring, but kung fu is kind of more of a defensive maneuver, so it really comes down to people waiting for the other person to cheap shot them, which kind of defeats the purpose of kung fu in the first place, but whatever, I guess it doesn't matter. They do it in this movie, or that's the way they do it in this movie. I think actual kung fu competitions, they would have to work differently than that, I would imagine. It just wouldn't make sense. But whatever. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. The Karate Kid remake, I just couldn't get over the title, honestly. That's kind of what killed it for me. Like, I probably would have enjoyed it more. I know it's kind of a superficial reason to dislike a movie, but honestly, like, there is something kind of rotten about calling a movie The Karate Kid, even though they're not doing karate. And
I didn't like Will Smith's kid, Jade, whatever his fucking name. I don't like that kid.
Jaden Smith.
Yeah, I don't like him.
Yeah, well, I think I'd have to say his performance in The Pursuit of Happiness was a stronger performance.
Oh yeah, that was good actually.
Yeah. But I didn't like him in the Day the Earth Stood Still remake.
Nope.
I didn't like him one bit in that. I found him really irritating. Pretty much all he did was scream and cry throughout that whole film.
Yeah.
And according to Hollywood, that's all kids can do is scream and cry. So, he did the Dakota Fanning War of the Worlds thing. And then, yeah, Karate Kid, it wasn't that interesting. After Earth was terrible, but the kind of terrible that was not bad enough to be good enough.
Yeah, I didn't like that one either. That was just boring.
Yeah. Will Smith, though, I still enjoy Will Smith, even though I haven't really liked anything he's done lately.
Nope. He keeps fucking up.
Yeah.
I feel like he chooses shitty movies just for bad reasons.
So I need one of you to try to convince me to see Gemini Man, because I don't think I can do it.
I don't think I haven't seen it.
Yeah. It's the newest Will Smith movie, or one of the newer Will Smith movies. And
Yep.
I've heard, and it's an Ang Lee movie, which Ang Lee is a great filmmaker, but I've heard it's the Gemini Man's. Yeah, I heard it's like one of the worst movies ever. So I'm just trying to figure out a reason to watch it, and I don't think I can figure out a way to watch it.
Same with that Blight movie, the Netflix one.
Oh yeah,
it takes place in fairy tale land, in a world where
I didn't
fairy
see
tales happen. And
I saw that one.
Yeah,
any
that
good?
one, it was okay.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not as bad as people made it out to be, but
right. Yeah, I didn't see that one yet, but
yeah, I didn't either. Aren't they making another one of it too?
They said they were, but probably not gonna happen anymore.
Yeah.
Got shit on, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why it was okay.
Yeah. Most people I know who've seen it didn't actually mind it that much. So.
I just went off what I read. Just people hated it.
Yeah.
It looked weird as hell.
Yeah. Although not as weird as Gemini Man.
Fucking hated Hancock.
Oh, yeah, that was disappointing too.
I was so pissed at that movie.
Yeah.
Because I liked a lot of it going up. Like, I was like, oh, this movie's actually pretty sweet. And then that whole love angle thing of them, whatever the fuck that stupid shit was. I was like, no.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to literally just stop it right when they were saying, we love each. Like, I forget what the exact bullshit they came up with was. If they were like near each other, they're weak or something. I was like,
something like that. It's like they
dumb,
don't,
like,
they can't
fuck
use their
you.
superpowers. I mean, honestly, like the trailer made it look like a totally different movie.
Yeah.
I think honestly, like most of that movie's problems, in my opinion, like could be blamed on the trailer and just how totally was misadvertised.
I mean, if they
Like-
made the movie that the trailer was making it out to be, it would have been cool. Like
Yeah.
a drunken superhero bumbling around, being a
Yeah.
dumbass.
I
But
love that idea.
that would have been cool. But then they had
Yeah.
some stupid, really bad rom-com bullshit tacked on. Like, God damn it! Why are you doing this shit?
Yeah, I don't know. Definitely the wrong audience, though. I watched it. I didn't feel like I belonged there, which is kind of how I felt about when I saw Son of the Mask. Oh,
I couldn't watch that one.
oh, one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
That's
Yeah.
what I've heard. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
That's-
bad.
yeah, that's worse than any of the movies we talked about on this show. I think like
Yeah.
that was like worse than Nick Zed. Like, oh, the visuals were just. Ugh. Like that movie actually kind of made me feel sick. Like I hated it so much. Jeez. I can't take movies about babies. I can't. Couldn't get through The Boss Baby either. I just no thanks.
Yeah, that was bad. I had to watch it with my wife's nephew, and yeah.
Yeah, I saw it with a younger relative as well. He didn't even like it. I mean,
Somehow there's a Netflix series about it too.
that's incredible. That's unbelievable. Wow. I don't know. I guess none of us can choose what makes money and what doesn't. I guess is the lesson that we have to take from that. You know, a movie like The Boss Baby can become successful and become a household name.
That's that animator one, right?
Yeah.
You're like, I don't get those Minion movies
Yeah.
at all.
I'm guessing it just has to do with the fact that they have really high-pitched voices. Like, that's my only guess. It's the same reason why people like Alvin and the Chipmunks. For some reason, people really like high-pitched voices. I don't know why. I can't stand it. I find them freaking terrifying. But,
And I just hate their energy. They're just fucking bouncing around, being annoying fucks.
yeah.
None of it's funny. Just
Yeah.
like the banana shit. I'm like, what the fuck? This is like for 4-year-olds. I don't
Yeah.
understand how anyone above like the age of 5 can like those Minions
Yeah.
bullshit
I
movies.
know. I'd rather watch Hello Kitty, which is saying a lot because I can't stand Hello Kitty. I'd rather watch Hello Kitty. You know, I definitely wouldn't choose the Teletubbies though.
That shit scares me.
Yeah, that one I turned off after the first like 30 seconds. As soon as I saw the burning baby head in the sky, I'm like, no thanks. Turned it off.
The movie or
The show.
Show.
Like,
is
I-
there a movie of it?
I hope not. If there is, that's probably the one movie that plays like in hell.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
I've tried
on
watching one
repeat.
episode as well, and I was just not as an adult, but like
Yeah.
a teenager. I was just like
Yeah.
curious, and I couldn't. I was actually legitimately weirded out by it. I was like, "This is how do kids not have nightmares watching this shit? This is disturbing as fuck."
it is. Like, I guess people who make those kinds of shows just I guess they think that kids are really, really stupid and don't have brains. I guess is sort of the overall conclusion I would come to because it's so infantile. And I actually think a show like Teletubbies is actually really regressive because it shows all these people, all these characters talking like babies, like it's an acceptable thing to do, even though they're walking around like people. Like that's just so messed up. And then there's a baby head in the sky that's on fire that's giggling and laughing. Like that's creepy too. I mean,
Yeah.
a show like Barney the Dinosaur, and don't get me wrong, I'm not gonna say that Barney the Dinosaur is a good show or anything like that, but at least a show like Barney the Dinosaur has a character that communicates like a person, you
Yeah.
know, and uses like full sentences and actually like interacts with the kids rather than have this weird, just odd behavior. No thanks. So, do either of you have any more thoughts on 80s movies?
No.
Well, it was fun, and yeah, when we it'll be definitely very interesting to talk about our favorite 80s horror movies, because I think horror was like in the 80s was a very, very interesting time. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Might need to change mine, make it not so as cookie cutter as this one, but
It's up to you. Yeah. I don't even know what I just kind of usually just choose a list, and then I choose films that I like, and then I just kind of spend some time thinking about it, and then I just make the list, and then I just don't think about it anymore, you know. And then I'll like be listing off the names, and I'll be like, like in the back of my head, I'll be thinking, should I have chosen this for number 3? Should I have chosen this for number 2? Should I have chosen this for number 1? But the point is, these lists aren't definitive. So
yeah.
All right. Well, until next time, peace.
Yeah. Have a good night.
Yeah. Oh, and like and subscribe too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Smash that subscribe.
Yeah. All right. Goodbye.